I just got some steel cut and bent. It's time to make some frame rails. So this is what the frame's gonna look like. It's basically a whole bunch of somewhat complex cuts, but it's in theory to make the joint stronger so that it doesn't have weak points when you're welding it back up. It drops a lot more than the stock frame just to lower the truck more. Without even having to worry about clearance in terms of the frame. But once we tie in all those joints, the frame rail is going to look like a one piece. It's going to be super strong and it's going to look incredible. This is how the jig's looking so far. It's coming along nicely. We trimmed off of these brackets to make sure we didn't have any interference with the cab when we were trying to install that. We got this side finished as well. We tacked it in place and now we're gonna have to weld it up properly. So after a lot of precise measuring, cutting, and making sure everything is straight, this is what we came up with for the jig. I think we have it all set up. So we're gonna disassemble it, clean it up, and we're gonna paint it yellow. It'll just look more professional and it'll look cleaner when all the frame is assembled and completed. So that finishes up the jig. We've got it all squared off. Everything is level. It's bolted to the ground and it's also bolted to the frame from these brackets. The frame is incredibly sturdy. It won't move. And that's exactly what you need when you're making a jig. You don't want it to move. It'll just make your measurements go out of whack. It just won't be a good time. So now that the frame's sturdy, it's not gonna go anywhere. We can start fabricating on the frame. I think my next step is probably gonna go take the cab, set it on the frame, see where it ends up, and then I can take measurements and start making brackets and kind of setting myself up. I just set the cab on the frame. It's starting to look pretty cool. I'm glad I cut these brackets or shaved them because the cab would have been interfering in the front. As you can see, it barely squeaks by. And the cab's pretty much where it's gonna be sitting, but it might be moved a little bit forward. A couple inches I'll have to take off from the firewall. And I also properly welded the joints on the frame, so that should be very strong. And it looks like a one piece. Starting to look like something, so it's pretty exciting. Once I set the cab in the right spot on the frame, I'll be able to figure out some brackets to hold it somehow. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do for that yet, but I'll figure something out. And I also have to figure out how to make brackets to hold the Crown Vic front end, because this actually has to be slanted to the side like that. That's how it was mounted in the Crown Vic, so I don't know if it's completely necessary, but I'm sure it was engineered like that for some reason, so I'm gonna do the same thing. The floor is looking pretty scary. There will be a lot of work that needs to be done to make it structurally sound, but I think I'm just gonna do a pretty basic floor with sheet metal and a console. It's gonna look pretty cool in this since it doesn't have to be original. And the firewall is gonna be moved back, and we're gonna try and stuff the engine as far back as we can to make the center of gravity closer to the center of the truck. It'll just make it handle better, and it's a pretty cool factor, especially since the wheelbase is gonna be so short and so far forward. The wheelbase has been shortened compared to the factory C10, and it's also been moved forward by quite a bit. I want you guys to let me know what kind of wheels I should be putting on this truck. I'm not exactly sure what I want, but I'm thinking about a NASCAR wheel. The only issue is NASCAR wheels are usually 15 inches in diameter, and you can't actually fit 15-inch wheels on a Crown Vic front end because it will rub. I have so many plans for the future of this build, but I'm open for some ideas. I want you guys to let me know in the comments, and I also want some ideas for some wheels since I'm not exactly sure what I want. But if you like the content, leave a like, subscribe, and you'll see a lot more about this build. Thanks for watching.